Before starting today's video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video to encourage us to provide the best. In order to comprehend my narrative, you need some knowledge about the trespassing laws in our country. Essentially, we don't have any. As long as you're respectful and non-destructive, you're free to wander over any hills or camp on any beach of your choosing. You just have to ensure that you leave the area as you found it. In my younger years, I used to adore camping. Our family would take multiple trips each year with large groups of my parents' friends and their children. Typically, we would be a group of around 10 people. Since we always headed out to the more remote beaches on the coast, this posed a bit of a logistical challenge. We weren't the only ones either. There were always yachts bobbing just off the shoreline, and other campers lining up and down the beach. Most of these individuals also had children or teenagers, so it wasn't a wild party scene. Rather, it was a laid-back family holiday spot. There was even a small building nearby with toilets and showers, installed by the local council to prevent people from peeing in the bushes and causing other environmental issues. In the spring of 2011, we took a trip up there. While I'm not great at remembering exact dates, I know this because I adopted my dog, Parmesan, in the winter of 2010. I selected her from the shelter that November as a birthday present to myself and paid her adoption fee. I know that people in the swamp love dogs, so let me provide a little background on Parmesan. She came to me as a 6-month-old puppy who had been rescued from a dog-fighting situation. We're not entirely certain of her breed, but my best guess is that she is a lurker staffy. She is a wonderfully well-tempered dog with people and most other dogs, but if you threaten her, she'll have you. At the time of this camping trip, Parmesan had been with me for a few months. Although she had never been camping with us before, my family was convinced that dogs could join camping trips. Thus, when we all piled into the car, Parmesan came along. However, none of my family's friends could make it, so it was just me, my sister, my dad, and my mom. I didn't mind though. I wasn't that attached to the other kids, and I preferred to play with my dog. Plus, I still had my sister. The drive took around 6 hours, and we arrived at sunset, which was a terrible time to try and set up our tent when other campers had already established themselves on the beach, illuminated by campfires. Despite this, the beach was empty. However, my parents started taking things out of the car and attempting to build the tent. They asked us to grab some of the lighter bags from the car while they shone a flashlight on the sand to see better. Before getting out of the car, I rolled down the window for Parmesan. It was hot for that time of year, and I wanted her to have some air. I always have to look out for my furry little homie. As we fumbled around in the dark on a beach in the middle of nowhere, it felt eerie. The only road leading to the beach was circular and had a bridge over the water, which meant that you could essentially circle around the beach in a big O shape if you desired. I wasn't paying attention to the road. I was complaining about being tired, as kids usually do. However, my mom was paying attention. After my dad had been trying to set up the tent for about 15 minutes, my mom began asking him if he had seen that car driving around. It had passed by a few times. My dad shrugged off my mom's comment, as he tends to be nonchalant and doesn't pay much attention. I don't remember if he said anything significant in response. After a few more minutes, a car pulled up next to ours on the road, about 15 or 20 feet away from where we were. The lighting was low, except for the torches we had. We weren't expecting anyone else to be there at this time, and my mom speculated that it might be security or something related to Wildlife Trust, as they occasionally come down if there is a lot of noise. The man who got out of the car was walking unevenly, as if he were drunk or high. We could tell he was carrying a large knife, around 15 inches long, as he walked into the range of our flashlights, although I was small at the time, so my sense of scale may have been off. My dad, to his credit, immediately got up and held onto the camping mallet, positioning himself between the man and us. The man started shouting at us, telling us we couldn't camp there, and my dad initially tried to handle the situation calmly, telling him that we would leave. However, this approach didn't work, as the man kept coming closer to us. My dad began shouting, and the man continued to shout back. My sister and I were crying and shaking, utterly terrified, as anyone would be in this situation. It really seemed like my dad and the man were going to fight. To be frank, I didn't have much hope for my dad's safety. While it's a disturbing thought, I truly believe that the man with the knife would have killed my dad, and maybe even all of us, and my mom wouldn't have had the sense to run away with us. However, that's not what happened. It was like a sudden burst of energy from behind us, like a predator swooping down on its prey. It caught us all off guard, especially the man with the knife. In that moment, Parmesan, our dog, became the apex predator. As large canines do in nature, she clamped down hard on the man's arm, tearing his jacket and skin. He dropped the knife, which was still in his arm, and began to kick and punch her. Eventually, she let go, and he grabbed the knife and ran back to his car, driving away. Parmesan stayed with us, her muzzle covered in blood. As we gathered our things and got back in the car, all of us were still shaken up. I checked on Parmesan, and she seemed to be okay, but I noticed that the car window was more open than I had left it. I think when the shouting started, Parmesan managed to get her paws in the gap and push the window down enough to escape. However, our story wasn't over yet. We were all frightened and couldn't stay at a hotel with Parmesan, so my parents decided to drive home. First, though, we had to find a gas station since we were low on fuel. As I tried to clean up Parmesan, I couldn't believe what she had just done for us. Though I had always loved dogs, her bravery was beyond anything I could have imagined. As we drove into town, we stumbled upon a petrol station, but it appeared to be permanently closed. My dad drove closer to read the sign, and we realized it was no longer in service. Disheartened, we parked behind a van and didn't notice the man with the knife sitting on his car until it was too late. He was cleaning his arm with tissue paper, and we quickly drove out of there without refueling or exploring the rest of the town. My dad decided to head to the next town, but it was over 60 miles away, and we didn't have enough petrol. As we drove, we all knew we would run out of gas eventually, but my dad assured us that we had triple our coverage and they would come to tow us home or to a safe place for the night. However, our relief was short-lived as a car pulled up behind us with flashing lights. It was the same man from before. The next half hour was terrifying, and I had a complete breakdown, as did everyone else. My parents tried to remain calm, but we were all aware of the danger we were in. My dad turned off the radio to conserve fuel, and the man followed us for about 55 miles before finally peeling off onto another road. For about 10 miles, our fuel gauge had been hovering on empty, and we were running on fumes. Though I am not a believer, if there is a God, then that was one of his miracles. Finally, we reached the next town and pulled into a gas station to fill up the tank before continuing the rest of the way home. My sister and I fell asleep in the car, and the next time I woke up, we had already made it back home, grateful that nothing worse had happened. After getting some rest, my mom contacted the non-emergency line for the police and reported the incident. They didn't follow up with her, but she was told that the man matched the description of a murder suspect. We don't know if he was the same person or just some random psycho, but it's a scary thought. For me, the takeaway from this experience is that I love my dog, Parmesan. She's still with us now, old and grizzled, as my mom's friend likes to joke. I don't know why she attacked the man on the beach that day or what her thought process was, but I do know that she was born into a world of abuse and neglect. Despite everything that had happened to her, she forgave us and became a beloved member of our family. The saying goes, I never trust a person who doesn't like dogs, but I believe that when a dog dislikes a person, it's usually for a good reason. Dogs are experts at reading human body language, and they must have sensed the danger we were in. If you're able to, please consider adopting a dog. You never know when you might find yourself in a situation like mine, And I promise you that if you save a four-legged friend's life, they will repay you tenfold, often without a thought for their own safety. When I adopted Parmesan, it cost me 78 pounds, which was a lot for a kid. But it sends shivers down my spine to think that if I hadn't been so persistent about getting a dog, I might not be alive today. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and sharing it to support me. The best is yet to come.